everyone. I'm Michaela, and today on the Soundtrack of Our Lives podcast, we are joined by Braden Bales.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. So we're going to start with the hardest question ever. Who are you and what have you been up to recently?
My name is Braden Bales. I'd say, who am I? I'm an artist who sings about my life and all of the intricacies that come with that. And what I've been doing recently is figuring out how to put my recent move and all of the things that I've been going through in the last 6 months into music.
Mhm.
I just moved to LA, and so I've been kind of settling in here and getting ready for tour. And that's kind of what brings us to where we are today. I've been making new music and adjusting to my new life.
Yeah, so you're going to be going on your first ever headline tour.
Yes.
Super exciting.
Very excited.
So what are your thoughts going into your first ever headline tour?
I gotta crush it. That's the biggest thought. I'm super excited. I've always done opener tours up to this point, obviously, and I've done a live looping setup. And so this is not only my first headline tour, but this is my first tour with a full band.
Mhm.
And so my thoughts are just that I'm so grateful to be in a situation where I can actually go out on the road across the entire US and play with three of my best friends,
Mhm.
I think that it's really just excitement. Like, there's nothing I'm really worried about. There was a long time where I was worried about selling tickets and if I could sell my own tickets or not.
Mhm.
And the way that things have been going make me feel really good about that too. And I'm really in a state of thankfulness and just being giddy to like get out on the road. We haven't started rehearsing yet, and so to know what that's going to be like with the full band is going to
Mhm.
be super fun. And so I'm excited for rehearsing for the first time. I'm excited to play the shows, and the thought is just like I can finally give the show that I've wanted to give and the show that I've waited to give, where I wanted to get my reps in and get comfortable in front of a crowd just on my own first before adding everyone else. And the thought is just, this is going to be so sick. Like I'm just genuinely so excited.
Yeah, and so you're starting in Canada.
Yes, starting in Toronto, hometown show sold out to kick it off. So that's also amazing.
That's super exciting.
Yeah.
I know that when you were touring with Games We Play, your grandmother came to that show. Is she going to come to this one?
I'm not sure. I hope so.
Mhm.
Her health has been steadily declining,
I'm sorry
which
to hear that.
it's okay. It's unfortunate, and these things happen with age, and
Mhm.
so we're all aware of that and just trying to make her the most comfortable that we can. And so I'm not sure if she'll make it out. The city's kind of overstimulating for her. She saw me in Hamilton, which was a little bit outside of Toronto and a little bit of a calmer place. So hopefully she's there. And if she is, I'll definitely do a good crowd bit with Grandma Pam like we did in Hamilton. But if not, it's totally okay. We're going to film the whole thing for her so that she can see it.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Glad you're able to share it with her, even if she's not there.
Yeah, she's definitely a huge supporter of mine, even though she doesn't understand a lot of my lyrics. It's okay.
Grandparents don't always understand what's happening in your life, but the support is all that matters.
I agree. And she supports me wholeheartedly.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you have that support.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So you also said, you moved to LA from Canada. What has that move been like?
The move's been interesting. So first I lived in Nashville for a year and a half. And so I'm moving to LA from Nashville, which is a little bit of an easier adjustment than it was going from Canada to Nashville. I'd say moving to LA, the transition's been really smooth. I visited LA for a month in August. This past August, I was here the entire month, and I'd met like a really good crew of people.
Mhm.
And I think LA is a really easy city to adjust to because everyone's kind of in the same boat. It's one of the rare places in the US where pretty much everybody is a transplant from somewhere. And it's rarer to find somebody in LA who's from LA than it is to find somebody in LA who didn't move there. And so for that reason, it's really easy to make friends. And I've really enjoyed it. And I think there's something about LA that brings the most individual pieces that you have out of you. Like, I think that the way that everyone dresses here and the way people present themselves and
Mhm.
how outgoing everyone is, it's really a place that you can be yourself to the fullest extent. And it's like encouraged. And so I've really enjoyed that as well. I feel like just being here and being around, my style's changed. I have grown a mustache. We're going crazy here. That's not really actually that crazy. It feels crazy to me. But I really love LA and I love the hustle and bustle of everything.
What would you say was the biggest difference from living in Canada to just moving to the US?
Climate is definitely the biggest one. But yeah, way less cold. I enjoy being outside. It feels when I step outside that my ancestors have chosen a place to settle down that is habitable. I
Hmm.
feel like Canada, just walking outside in the winter, you're like, I'm wearing so many layers. Like, how did they even do this back then?
Hmm.
But love it. Yeah, the biggest difference is just the climate. People in LA are friendly. In the South, there was a little bit of like Southern tendencies that I had to adjust to.
Hmm.
But yeah, nothing is really that different between Canada and the US other than the politics, which I don't even get into because
Yeah.
it's so crazy out here. But yeah, that's the only difference.
So are you a fan of the cold?
Hate it. I hate the cold with all my being.
Interesting.
Yeah. Love summer in Canada. It's beautiful, but the 9 months of the year wearing a jacket is just not where I want to be.
That is understandable. Yeah, I'm from the Boston area, so I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you know what that's like.
Yeah.
It's
Just not I don't enjoy I like cold weather activities, but not the cold.
I feel that. I feel that. I can get behind tobogganing.
Hmm.
I like to ski and snowboard, but yeah,
Same.
just
Yeah.
walking around and the snow's nice until it turns to slush, and that's 80% of the time. So we're good. We'll skip that and
Right.
keep
Yeah. It's that like one day where it just like looks beautiful and then it's all gross.
and then it's gross. Yeah. So we'll keep LA. I think I'm gonna stay here for a good chunk of time.
Yeah, you're not planning on moving back during the winter.
Never. No. I don't know if I'll ever Canada again.
Well, at least you've experienced both, so now you know what you like.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah. So moving more into music, you
Mhm.
have put out, a couple of songs recently.
Yep.
Yeah, so with putting out something that is so personal to you, are you
Mhm.
scared at all, or what are those feelings that you're going through?
I wouldn't say I'm scared. I I would say that I think I lost the fear in being vulnerable on the internet a long time ago,
Hmm.
and I'm thankful that I've lost that. But I think it's more. I wouldn't call it excitement either. I think there's a piece of it that's like the fear in it is that what was mine is no longer mine.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it's fear or what that emotion is, but on release days, I'm never happy. It feels like something's been taken away from me. Where it goes from my demo that is like pure just emotion and how I feel about it, and it only belongs to me, and I'm the only one who can analyze that. To then when everybody sees it, that was the intention of the song for the whole time, was that obviously it's a piece of music I'm going to put out.
Hmm.
But I think once that song is no longer mine, it changes my relationship with it a little bit, where everybody else can have a taste of my medicine as well. And that's the hardest part. But once it's out there and I can see the actual impact it's having on people's lives, it makes me very thankful that I've done it, and it makes me feel good that I'm not so unique that I'm the only one going through this.
Hmm.
And so I'm excited to put out the EP, and I'm really excited for everyone to hear the rest of it. And there are a couple demos that won't be my like, hey, like friend that I haven't seen in a while. Like, can I show you the new thing I'm working on? Losing that and losing that intimacy with the songs is a piece of it that I'm looking forward to a little bit less. But I'm excited for it to have an impact on other people's lives.
Yeah, speaking of that, fan encounters and impacts that it's had on people's lives, do you have any like particular memorable moments with fans or things like that?
I have plenty, and I think I'm hesitant to share them because they're not my experiences.
Right.
But I think the most fan encounters I've had where people tell me some really personal and deep things about my music is that shows, and that's part of why I love them so much. Is that I get comments of people being like, "This helped me through my divorce," and whatever's posted in a public forum, I'm more than happy to share.
Hmm.
And for I don't, but I do. I've had a lot of people DMing me and commenting about like um, divorces specifically. I'm not sure why it's so many divorces and less breakups, but that's been a big one that I think it makes me feel like I've done some good in the world when I get a
Hmm.
comment from somebody saying like this really helped me through this time. And the most memorable fan interaction moments are always on tour,
Hmm.
and those are some things that have personal details in them that are a couple one-on-one conversations about. you know, family members who've passed or family situations where they've felt all alone.
Hmm.
And I don't want to go any deeper than that, but there's two or three that really, really stand out that when I look at myself in the mirror, I can think like you actually made a very significant impact on this really real situation. And those are the interactions that I think of when I think of the purpose that I make music for, you
Hmm.
know?
It's always important to have that purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, without it, you're just trying to make people like you and think you're cool, you know?
Which is always an important thing, but
It's important. It's important, but it definitely feels less self-serving
hmm.
to have a reason for it.
Yeah, so you mentioned, interacting with fans at shows. So for someone who hasn't been to a show of yours before, what should they expect?
I think they should expect for it to be a very like community-based vibe. I've made broadcast channels for each city I'm going to on Instagram, and 2 weeks before each show, I'm gonna start interacting there all the time and try and make people meet each other and know each other outside of the venue, and then when they get there, be able to meet their friends in the way that I feel like I put a lot of faces to names and usernames when I go to these shows, and that's one of my favorite parts. I want other people to be able to do the same thing, and I want my shows and my music to be something that brings people together. And so I want them to expect to be social. I want them to expect to find other like-minded people there because I don't think that my music's for everyone. And I do think that for the people whose cup of tea my music is, um, they are all very similar to each other because I've noticed that they're all very similar to me.
Hmm.
And so I think showing up with an open mind, expecting to be social and kind of be joining a community is more the vibe that I'm looking for, more than just them coming to watch me sing songs, you know?
Right.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. And I also don't know what Braden Bales headline shows feel like because these are my first ones. So I'll have a better answer for you next time after I've done this tour.
Right. Of course, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
like that you're kind of making it into a community. That's really
Yeah, I
cool.
think that's the most important piece. I think that's the most important piece, and that is also a huge piece of the why of why I do it is that I've been in very lonely spots, and that's what a lot of my songs are about. And so I want to help people out of those spots.
Yeah. It's always hard to get out of that moment when you're there.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And if something that I love to do takes people out of that as well, that's like a plus plus win win situation, you know?
Hmm. So going into this headline tour, are there, venues or places that you're super excited to go to more than others or ones that are seem like more exciting for you?
Yes, the hometown show, obviously, that's going to be a significant life moment for me.
Hmm.
Especially like first show ever sold out. Like that one is going to take the cake for sure. Um, I don't know if there's any I'm not excited for. There's one city that is selling less fast than the rest of them.
Hmm.
And so I'm excited to see what that kind of ends up looking like. We also booked a way larger venue than we wanted to just because of availability issues.
Right.
And so that's Chicago. So we'll see what Chicago's like. Um, that's the one I'm the most apprehensive for, candidly, just because of the fact that for some reason it's just slower than the rest of the cities. And it's my top streamed city on Spotify. So I really don't know what's going on in that. But yeah, Toronto I'm the most excited for. Chicago is going to be interesting, and then all the rest are like I just love to play shows, and so I'm
Hmm.
equally excited for them.
Yeah. I'm super excited for you to have your first tour.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very excited as well.
Yeah. So what kind of prompted you to go with a live band for it?
I did. I've done a couple tours with just myself on stage
Hmm.
as the opener, and I think that that might be something that I end up doing long term is the just solo thing and being my own like just a one man band type deal. But for this first headline tour, I just wanted to get the experience. Like I wanted before I decide to lock in on one or the other, try both and
Hmm.
it feels like. I also owe a huge amount of credit to Emin from Games We Play for having me on stage to sing Buddy Holly with him because that was the first time I'd been on a stage with a band, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh shit, this feels really, really good." You know what I mean? So shout out Emin for that. That really showed me like how much better it feels when you hear like the the crazy drums right behind you, and you're like, the energy there was unmatched, and um, and I think just having friends with me on stage also felt really good because I
Hmm.
was on the last tour, I was in the van with them, and so it felt like we were one big family, and being on the stage with that family felt really incredible. And so I want to do that again in my own way and see what that's like. And if that doesn't end up being what I do long term, then that's also cool. But I figured I'd try everything out.
Yeah, you don't know what works best until you do it.
I totally agree. Got to take risks and try new things.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite show or memory from that tour that you were just on with them?
Honestly, I think playing Buddy Holly on stage was the best memory. That was so much fun, and like that's the most like happy one. There was a couple fan interactions on that tour that were super meaningful to me. I think the other best memory was in Cleveland. I got sick that tour, and so there was a couple shows where I had zero voice whatsoever. And in Cleveland, I don't know if it was Cleveland or Columbus, but whatever. In Ohio, the Ohio show, I had no voice. I had like some voice. It was more than the one show where I had zero voice at all. I had a little bit of voice, but it still was giving out in
Hmm.
Ohio. And I was singing Me, Myself, and You, and my voice kind of gave out, and it was a verse part of that song, and the whole crowd was singing it to me. And Me, Myself, and You isn't my biggest song by any means, and so just hearing my song sung back to me from a crowd that wasn't mine in a time where I really needed it was beautiful. And the opportunity that I had to lose my voice on tour, on an opener tour, and like encourage people, because before that I was never encouraging people to sing my songs to me on someone
Hmm.
else's tour. I was like, why should they know who I am? I'm the opener. And on these shows where I had no voice, I was like, guys, I really need help here. If you know any of these lyrics, please sing them with me. And it showed me how many people at these shows actually knew who I was. And it really felt like there was a community around me. And I think that ended up being a big reason why we ended up putting up headline shows now, is that through encouraging people to sing, and through them feeling like they needed to sing and help me out, it showed me how many people in this crowd, even that didn't come and say hi to me after the show, knew all of the lyrics and supported me. And I think not having my voice to hide behind while in front of these crowds also taught me a lot about performing and how much of each performance is nonverbal.
Hmm. Yeah, that must have been scary at times.
It was terrifying. For the first show was Hartford, Connecticut. I couldn't sing anything at all. Like it was actually ridiculous, and I was shaking before the show, and then it
You
ended up
couldn't tell.
okay. That's good. Freaking out. I was mentally so yeah. I didn't speak all day, and I sang in sound check, and I couldn't make any noise in sound check. And luckily, I was able to get a little bit of tea in me before the show, and that helped a hair. But that was a rough show. I still have the footage from that show, and I can't even watch it.
You can't tell you were that nervous, though. We couldn't
Okay,
tell.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I also don't think I ever saw Buddy Holly performed. We did see it the first night, and then
Yeah,
I don't think you did it any of the others that we were there because we
I don't think
were
so. I think we played it twice on the whole tour. How many shows did you come to?
three.
Okay, yeah,
We
I think
did,
we
yeah, we did Maryland, Connecticut, and Jersey.
okay. Yeah. We played it in Jersey, and then later in the tour we played it. We played it once in Canada, maybe once somewhere else. But yeah, I think yeah, twice or three times we played that song. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. You guys missed out. I'm sorry to tell you.
Well, the first time I don't think anyone knew the lyrics,
Yeah,
so that was
that was
that was interesting.
kind of a similar vibe the other times because he never like planned it. He would just like I'd be selling merch at my merch stand, and he would just be like, "Braden, where are you?" And I'd just like run onto the stage and he'd hand me a microphone. It was supposed to be a very impromptu type thing, and because of how like sporadic it was, it felt like the crowds really enjoyed it and jumped in and sang along. And one of them, he brought up a random crowd member as well. He just
Hmm.
said Brandon and you, and then like she did his verse that he was singing. It was a lot of fun. It was a very community based moment, and also was a big reason why I felt like I want my shows to feel like his do.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that kind of how he builds a community. I see you taking that as well.
Yeah, and the music's obviously very different,
Hmm.
but but there's definitely pieces of what we both do that kind of carry over to each other's brands and communities.
Yeah. And I think that's the cool thing about music is
Yeah,
that no, whatever you create, you're trying to build this community.
yeah, I totally agree.
It's so universal and it's so unique because as you said, you guys make very different music, but yet you were able to go on tour together and kind of build a community.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And me and him are like good friends now too, and we hadn't really met in person before that tour.
Was that scary going into it?
No, no, I've been in that situation before, and I typically get along with everybody,
Hmm.
so I wasn't really worried about it. I was worried about being in the van with them for the whole tour, just in case there was some personality differences, because 3 weeks in a van, you can't really get around that. But we all got along really well, so I was really happy about that. But yeah, I think I typically get along with everyone, and it wasn't my first tour either,
Hmm.
so I kind of knew that how to when to kind of just remove myself and back off when they were facing stressful things as the headliner, or you know there's rhythms to everything, and so I just knew kind of when to be around and when to not be around.
So very important things to understand.
I think so. I think as an artist, being emotionally intelligent is very important, and I would consider myself an emotionally intelligent person. I think it's the same as songwriting sessions are
Hmm.
strange to navigate, but if you can read people and kind of know what the vibes are always, it's pretty simple to like navigate those things.
Yeah, speaking of songwriting, what does a typical songwriting process look like for you?
It's very different than it used to. It used to be before Chronically Cautious, it was just me in my bedroom,
Hmm.
finding loops on the internet, like a guitar loop or something, and then producing a whole song around that loop and writing it all myself, and then mixing and mastering it. Then it turned into showing up to songwriting sessions in Nashville, which is typically me, a songwriter, and a producer,
Hmm.
and we'd make a song on the spot. And again, starting with a guitar riff and kind of just starting somewhere and figuring out where that takes me. And recently, it's been more. My sessions will be maximum me and a producer. I rarely have another songwriter in there with me now, just because I think after enough writing with other people,
Hmm.
I realized that following my own instincts is what I always end up kind of just wanting to do anyway. And sometimes I need the space to just kind of sit there and figure out how I'm feeling and let the song take a bunch of twists and turns and follow them instead of like trying to lock in like this song's going to be about this thing. Um, and so yeah, it looks like me and a producer or just me by myself, and then I'll still make music on my own sometimes. But typically it's me and a producer. We find a loop that we like. I write lyrics on it. The song takes a certain direction. We start writing that song,
Hmm.
and then at a certain point, everything will flip on its head, and I realize what the song's actually about. And then we fix everything else we've written to be about the thing that it actually is, that my subconscious has told me it's now about. And then um, and then a lot of the time we'll only get a verse and a chorus on the day of, and then I'll write the second verse and the bridge whenever I fully know what the rest of it has to be.
I was say, how many of your songs are like completely different than how they started?
I'd say just about all of them. Um, yeah, there's I rarely don't edit and change everything,
Hmm.
you know? And I feel like any of the times that I've been like, I want to write a song about this thing in this way, whatever, and I stick to that, it doesn't sound good. It sounds like I tried to make a song, but I'd say pretty much everything. Like I don't, but I do started as like a sad song about like a strictly sad song that I was writing on the guitar about how I feel like an outcast, and I feel like if my last relationship didn't pan out, it was my fault. And that theme definitely stayed throughout the song. But through the song, I realized like, wait, like I have some anger in this, and I don't
Hmm.
think that I'm solely responsible. And I think the songs that take those twists and turns and feel like I'm processing it in real time instead of I have processed it and this is what it was and I'm writing about this, those are my favorite ones. And so I can't really think of a song that I've written that didn't take any sort of twist and turn, other than maybe Chronically Cautious and Fair Weather Friends. I think those are the only two that were strictly about one thing the whole time.
Hmm.
But Chronically Cautious, I did the chorus first, and I never do the chorus first.
That's interesting that that they all change so much.
They do. And everything about Chronically Cautious, other than the lyrical theme, changed a lot too.
Hmm.
Like I wrote that chorus on an emo riff that we then took out and changed it with the like I was writing that emo riff on that emo riff, and what ended up being the chorus was supposed to be a verse, and
Hmm.
then Cam Becker, the producer, like that should be a chorus. Let me change the guitar for it, and so even that flipped on its head, you know.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who's kind of scared to change their ideas or, kind of change around their songwriting process?
I would ask them why they're scared, you know,
Hmm.
because you can always fail, you know. Like if you are like, I would say what is the fear? Because for me, if I'm in a session and I change it around and I don't end up with a great song that I love, then I don't lose anything. I just don't
Hmm.
have a song that I really love that day, you know? And I think that if you feel like you need to change the process and you don't, then the song's not going to be good anyway. So I really think creating is an interesting thing where when people are afraid creatively to just make something, like something that they don't have to put out, like a
Hmm.
song, I don't think it's valid to be scared of anything when no one has to see it except for you, you know?
Yeah.
It's really just like, are you willing to put in the energy and the work that it takes to do this? And if you're not, then that's a different conversation, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And then when you are, kind of struggling creatively, what do you do to get re-inspired?
I take a step away for a second. I think change of perspective is good. Sometimes I'll just take a walk around. But I think that what it boils down to is how honest I'm being.
Hmm.
And so I think there's been times where I'll get stuck creatively. I'll realize that I'm not telling the full truth in the moments that I get stuck and it doesn't feel natural,
Hmm.
because I'm not speaking from my own experiences. I'm speaking from how I wish to be perceived from somebody listening to the song. And I think that's an easy trap to fall into. But I think taking a walk outside, removing yourself, or if you just feel really burnt out that day, then coming back a day later. But I'm not necessarily somebody who believes in long term writer's block. I think
Hmm.
sometimes you're going to write bad songs for a week or two, but eventually those songs are going to turn good again. And I think you have to be willing to do it every day and to do it and be honest in your music. And um and eventually, even on days where I've not wanted to write a song
Hmm.
and I've been like, I probably should write a song, I pretty quickly fall back into it and lose myself in that process again. So I don't really have advice for people going through writer's block, because I don't think I've ever had it or stopped writing. I've definitely had periods where I don't like my songs that I've written for a week or two or a month even.
Hmm.
But I think the block is when you're scared that it won't be good, and so you stop writing and you stop trusting yourself and letting yourself write the songs.
Yeah. I'm glad that you've never experienced that.
Yeah, yeah, I am too. I think I have experienced it, but again, I just wrote bad music, you know?
Hmm.
Like I got writer's block for good ideas, and I didn't love the ideas that I was coming out with, but I was like, this is what my mind's saying anyway. So I feel like I have, maybe I haven't. Yeah, maybe it'll hit me one day, and I'll lose all of this confidence in my inability to have writer's block.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to sit down and get all the bad ideas out to get to the good ones.
Agreed. Agreed. And I think when you're afraid to get rid of your bad ideas and to fully flesh out the bad ideas is when you get paralyzed in it, because you got to get it out. So if you don't write through that, you're going to just be stuck with the bad ones in you and
Hmm.
be afraid to say them. But anyhow, I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. If I get super terrible writer's block, I will
You'll
let
let
you
me
know,
know.
and I'll come up with a remedy, and then we'll fix it.
And then you'll have some good advice then.
Yes, yes, I'll have amazing advice if I go through it.
Speaking of advice, what would you say is some of the best advice you've ever been given?
That's a fantastic question. My mom told me that I shouldn't go to college right away after I finished my getting my audio engineering degree. The rough plan in my life was to get the degree, make music for a year. If nothing happens, then go to college.
Hmm.
And nearing the end of that year, after I got my audio engineering degree, I was like, all right, mom, like I think I have to go back to school. And at the time, I was working at a studio in Toronto and making music and like just getting rolling with some of the social media stuff. And my mom said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that you shouldn't go to college just yet. I think you should give it another year and keep doing whatever you're doing because you can always go back to school. And if you love what you're doing, we've seen how hard you're working for it. And it would be a different story if you got your degree and then we're just, am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
She said it would be a different thing, and I'm paraphrasing obviously because she doesn't speak in this way. But she said the premise of it was it would be different if you were just fucking off all day and playing video games and not doing anything with this. But we see that you're working. We see the amount of hours you're working and how seriously you're taking this.
Hmm.
And I think that if you keep taking it as seriously as you're taking this, whether you're an artist or you're a producer or you're an engineer at a studio or you're whatever, I think that you're going to end up making money doing this, and I think this will be a long-term career for you at some point if you keep working this hard. And so don't put too much pressure on going to school. Chase your passion, keep working hard, and then we'll figure it out after that. But take one more year and see if you still want to do this and relentlessly pursue this for as long as you're doing it. And then during that year, I ended up going and living my car in LA and then ended up in Nashville and writing the song. So I think that was great advice that she gave me. And it gave me a lot of confidence to fail and to like feel okay with not having success right away
Hmm.
at that time where I felt like I wasn't progressing in the same way that my peers were. Because the faith that she put into the work that I was doing was huge for me psychologically.
I'm glad you have that support from your mom.
Me too. I've thanked her for it many, many times. She's a killer.
Yeah, I feel like that's all. I feel like that's always a hard one for parents when they see kids trying to chase their dreams, and it's like you're trying really hard, but it's not quite. You're not quite there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely like she was a little bit worried about it, and we've talked about that too. But I weirdly kind of hope that my kids eventually don't chase a career in music because of what I've been through. But yeah, she believed in it the whole time, and I'm very thankful to her for that.
Yeah. I feel like it's like my parents are also watching me and they're like, this is great, but maybe, you could also try getting like a stable job, you know?
Yeah.
It's
How
one of
does that
those
make you
things.
feel?
I understand where they're coming from, but it's kind of annoying at times.
I agree with that. I think that would be really
Yeah.
difficult to deal with. But I think you're doing great, and I think again, just keep working hard.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for parents. I can't imagine
Yeah.
like as you said, having a kid go trying to go into this industry. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But respects to them, all
Yeah.
we can do is try.
Yeah. And then sometimes it doesn't work out and that's okay.
Yeah. And then you figure it out yourself. I think you got this. You keep going.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So before I ask the last question, was there anything else that you wanted to mention or talk about today?
I don't think so. I think I've touched on the EP, touched on the tour. I think that's great. I've touched on yeah. You've asked some very good questions. So thank you for doing your homework and asking good ones.
Yeah. It's always helpful when people want to answer the questions and keep talking. So,
Yeah.
so the last question is what is the soundtrack of your life?
Is that in terms of sorry, is that an album? Is that the which album? What does that question entail?
So it is up to you on how you want to answer it because it is your life. I've had people who've answered in, like literal movie soundtrack, an album, a song, sometimes things that have
Oh,
nothing to do with music.
okay. What is the soundtrack to my life? I think right now it is One and the Same by Low Swimmer, and I think Novo Amor is on there, and Heiliger is also on there. It's one song. It's a song that I listen to whenever I'm driving. It's like my kind of in between song. It's very folky and floaty, and it's not structured like a typical song,
Hmm.
but I listen to it just on repeat sometimes, and I think the it's kind of a peaceful like figuring it out and kind of taking a look at your life song that is more of a vibe and more of like a movie soundtrack type feel to it than a song. And I
Hmm.
think why that's the soundtrack of my life is that I don't have really a bearing on where I am right now, and this song makes her feel as though there's beauty in that, and that none of us really do. And I think that when I listen to that song, it makes me feel like I'm fortunate to not have any concrete um, knowledge of where I am, where I'm going to be in a year from now, 5 years from now. I'm new to a new city. I don't have many roots down, and I don't have much knowledge of what my future is going to look like.
Hmm.
But I think that this song, for some reason, makes me feel like all of that is beautiful and is okay. And I'm fortunate to not have a life that I am set in and stuck in and don't enjoy.
Hmm.
And I think it makes me feel like I'm what a joy it's going to be to find out instead of holy shit, where am I and what's happening?
Yeah, because that I'm in the same place. It's a scary thing, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's also beautiful in its own.
yeah. Yeah, so for all of our listeners who want to stay updated on you, potentially see you on tour, where can they find you?
They can find me on Spotify, Braden Bales. They can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, just Braden Bales. You can find me at bradenbales.com where you can find my tour and the tickets to my tour. And you can also find me in Toronto, New York, Chicago, Columbus, or Los Angeles in March.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much.